Aloha and welcome to my rendition of Project Gorgon tutorials. And here we are in game after making a character. You know, you can do that by yourself. But here's what you might see on entering. Sometimes the GUI is large like this. So what you're going to want to do is click on the settings button, which is on your right hand side of the screen. At the bottom it looks like a little cog. And click on GUI. You want to select GUI and select the GUI scale and modify that to roughly however you like it. I usually like it around, I think, 151. Yeah. Makes it all nice, small, and just usable again for me. So, and other things. So, the UI is pretty interesting. That's kind of archaic, I would say, but it's all placeholders. The graphics are all placeholders. There will be better stuff later. So I'm gonna do right now is modify my UI to how I like it. So I'm gonna drop that down over here. Grab that down, drop that right here. I'll take the sidebar here, which is your basically it's a spare actions bar for special skills or special abilities. Things like first aid, armor patching, maybe a druid form or two. Or something like dig deep, which is a power restore survivability skill. So I'm just going to drag that. I like it right about there. That's about pretty good for me. And then I'll turn on the chat because I'm the type that likes to watch chat. So turning on the chat there brings up a large window over here that you can modify the size of no matter what, however you like, or you can move it wherever you want if it works. See, just move it wherever you want. So I like it in the bottom corner over here. Roughly about this big, about that big. And then I'm going to take the buff window. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. I'm not too sure if you can see that, and I'm going to drop it right above there. I like it. I like to see all my buffs, you know. And let's modify this just a little bit higher. There we go. So that is the basic setup of what you're going to see in the game when you log in. Some folks have that bug where everything's large, so I thought I'd include that inside the tutorial to help them fix things up. Now, there's other things that we're going to fix up as well. You notice that you can only see the names of NPCs as you click on them. I mean, some people like that. I personally like to see the NPC names and other things like excuse me, other things like an HP bar over their head. So I'm going to go and set that up right now. So what I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at show vitals over monster heads. So I'm going to set that for all enemies and click save. So that right there shows only the HP bars, which is nice and all that, but I want to see the monster names as well, you know, from a certain far. So I'm going to go all the way down here and set myself up into overhead labels and show enemy names above, you know, above enemy names. So now if I look to the side, I can see that these are waterlogged guardians and dilapidated guardians. If I move back a little bit further, they will eventually disappear, but the names will disappear, but the health bars might stay there. And there's also a bunch of newbie players around me. See, here's one spinning around in a circle, and here's one right over here. So I like to see their names as well, so I'm going to click on Show Friendly NPCs, which will basically do the same thing with enemies, but with friendly NPCs, like this guy right up here. His name is Rigger. That's what we're going to call him, Rigger. His name's Rigger. So just going to go back down over here and check these guys out. So I want to show names above players, so press play. So one of the things that is very, very important to know in the game is items on the ground, like this here, this tombstone, or this bag that's right down over here on the ground. They're clickable items, but you can't see them until you click on them. Now, to make your experience a lot better, I suggest turning on show names above interactables. So enable that so that you can see all the interactable things on the ground, because you might miss an item especially needed for a quest, or maybe somebody dropped an item on the ground and you can be lucky and get it, which happens quite a lot actually. See, like there's some crude undershirts over here. Somebody's been changing their clothing. So that's pretty much about it about the, quick setup there. And if you're not really familiar with playing an MMO, the key controls are WASD. W for going forward, S for going backwards, A for turning left, D for turning right. And then you would use your right mouse button and click on wherever on the screen, most likely your character itself, and spin your mouse left or right to turn in directions as you move, so you don't just have to use ASD keys all the time for turning. So this is very much just like any other MMORPG out there, at least for movement. And regular click, left click, will select the mob, select mobs, NPCs, items on the ground, players, and you can hit exam on top of the players if you're close enough. So let's give a quick chop at the skeleton here. So your skills are set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In this game, we do not have classes, so everything is skills. So I'm going to start on the list of things on the right hand bar, just so you can get a little bit familiar with how this game functions. So we've got the support button right here, which is used for telling people, or telling the GMs and devs that there's bugs, or you found a place that you're stuck and you can't get out of it. And there's also suggestions of what you like to see, or abuse if some player is being nasty to you or some kind of reason, they like to take care of that real quickly. So, and then, if you've got an item that's bugged, you can also open up your thing and drag it into the little box right here to tell them, hey, this item's bugged, or something like that. So that's the end of that there. Then you've got the chat window. You can make it disappear or reappear whenever you want. Especially if you're doing a lot of exploration and you want to see a really big screen and no clutter, so you can just turn that off. And as people talk, it'll show a little bit of fading on the bottom over here, so you know that someone's talked or so forth. So, but I like mine's on. So the next button is inventory. So inventory is, you've got a total of, I forget how many slots completely, but this is the main inventory. You can acquire more slots by acquiring skills, or not skills, equipment that have like plus inventory slots on there. And then there's also tailoring. Tailoring and some trade skills out there will allow you to put pockets in your gear. Not trying to get too advanced into the gear stuff, but gear has enhancement points in it. There's a total of, if I remember correctly, 100. So it depends on how much the pockets or mod that you're trying to put onto your gear costs. So it could cost 10, 15, 20, 25, and you've got that many points to work with, so you can put it on top there. But that is for definitely a advanced subject when you're dealing with gear and modding, because there's quite a lot you can do in this game. And like I said, the graphics aren't the greatest, but they're good enough for me. As I said a little bit earlier, everything is a placeholder. The UIs are a placeholder. There's going to be better graphics when the game actually releases out of beta. So I'm looking very much forward to seeing that. And from the time of this video, the next patch that's coming out will introduce some new classes and I think some new races as well. And a lot of optimization that we'll see in a lot of zones. So I'm looking forward towards that. You can read that at the dev blog that's on the forums if you're really interested. So, continuing on, you got skills and abilities. You're going to be using this window quite a bit, looking through your skills. I closed that down. You know, you've got archery, sword, and unarmed, and special abilities as a start. You won't see any of these other skills, but I've been playing with the character just a little bit, you know, just to help up with explaining a few things that you'll get at the beginning of the game. So, sword and unarmed will be on top of your bar automatically. Unarmed will be on your secondary, and sword will be on your primary. So, one of the things that primary and secondary skills have is only 6 slots. So you have to pick and choose what skills are going to be best for the build that you're going to play. And then you have the special abilities bar over here, which are which a lot of the combat skills have skills that will allow it to go onto the secondary specialty bar. And this bar here represents mostly your buffs, like I'll say right over here, dig deep, which restores 40 power, and it has a reuse time of 120 seconds. Then you can have other things like you can have, perhaps if you're a druid, you can have your druid forms like Raven, or you can have your deer forms, speed buffs like Bounding Escape that could go over there, as my main character is a deer. Let's see. So what you're going to see at the start of the beginning over here is you're going to want to pick up everything and fight everything. Just get your skills up for now. You'll get later skills in the game. You know, you need to train them up. There's NPCs out there that are trainers, you know, so you want to talk to everything, you want to explore everything, you just generally want to look around. The game's about exploration and having fun while doing that. Now, let's go and meet our first NPC. So here we have Lawara. She's the first NPC, one of the first NPCs that you meet on this island, besides that other NPC in the building that I completely ignored. But Lawara is just one of the main NPCs over here. You can talk to her, and you can learn small talk about her, like she likes art, she likes bones, she loves bread. So, and then you can do favors for her, like find spoons. There was another one over here that is for bones, but I already did that. So find spoons. So NPCs have favor, and there's favor levels of neutral, comfortable, neutral, comfortable, friends, close friends, best friends. Shoot, I just went blank there for a second there. Got something over here chewing on me. Best friends, and it becomes like family and soulmates right after that. So, and getting favor for NPCs are important. I'll go a little bit more in depth in another tutorial. Um, but this tutorial here is to explain the game mechanics, for new folks. So give gift here. You can give gifts to her. Like here, I'll give these bone femurs to her, and look, her favor goes up a little bit. I got 30 favor for pretty much 30 bones, so that's pretty much 1 per 1. And I can give her a piece of bread. I think she likes this hard roll too. Yeah, she likes it. And that was more EXP. Things that they love give more favor to them. And you can do a hangout with her. More hangouts happen with the characters or NPCs as your favor level goes up, and you can do things. Now I'm going to let out a little bit of a spoiler in here. You'll want to probably check for lice with each other. Yes, you're actually checking for lice. It's an actual disease in the game. The game has diseases of many sorts that you'll have to do. And what checking for lice with Hangouts does is when you log off the game to stop playing, 1 hour passing by in the game with your character basically hanging out with this NPC. In the end, when you come back online, you'll get favor, you'll get items and stuff, and this one gives you a louse cone. And that's a little bit of a spoiler, maybe spoiler right there. But it can be helpful because you're going to contract lice on the island somehow, or at some point in time. So there's a little tip for you. So favor, definitely want to get up. So let's go back to this, and let me click on favors and click on find spoon. So, and now that we got a quest, I can click on quest log. So quests act the same way as most games. You can pull the quest window down over here, or the quest tracker down, or wherever you want it to be. I'll just leave it up there for now, and you can set track the quest. So it's pretty similar to some of the games if you've ever played any MMOs like World of Warcraft or EverQuest 2. But this game plays more like EverQuest 1 and Asheron Call and DOAC, the older games. This game will not hold you by your hand at all. So the quest, this is the furthest you'll ever get in quest finding right here. It's just seeing that you need to find 2 spoons. It will tell you what mob or what NPC you need to find, but it's not going to lead you there. You'll have to do it all on your own. So everything is like that. Everything is pretty much you have to find and explore. And a lot of folks won't give spoilers, or if they do give spoilers, it will be in kind of black text, and you'll have to roll your mouse over to see the text. But there's a lot of people that don't want to be spoiled on certain things, so they won't do that because they want to find and do the game, as it was intended to be. So other things in here is work orders. Now work orders are boards that you can find at major towns, or most zones have them, but what they're for is to gain industry XP. Industry XP is for helping you get certain things like traders. A trader is an NPC that will sell stuff to you, just like an auction house, but it's a trader that you have to go through and select and hit shop and do all that sorts. If you ever played EverQuest 1, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, where the bazaar, you could go around to all these players and check their inventory and see what you want to buy. That's similar, but Instead, it's NPCs in game, so the player doesn't have to keep their client on all the time. So that's what that is. And there's going to be more stuff planned for Industry EXP, but it's also a good source of money as well, because it's pretty hard to get money in this game, so you want to, maybe consider looking up a trade skill or something that you forged up off the ground. Could be something in the work order. It could be, potatoes, which you can grow, or it could be a spleen or something that you killed from a monster, or stomachs. Well, you don't want to give away actual stomachs. Those are a little expensive. So, and what we got over here is the stuff to do window. What is this? Well, it's pretty much, this game is about exploration, as it says right over here, so you can read this little list right up here. But what that is it gives you general tasks and areas. So, like, grow potato, learn to skin corpses. And here's Angog Isle, which is this aisle that I'm on, the newbie training aisle, so you can learn psychology from Rigger. That's the guy that we first saw. You can learn the master art of taming rats, and you can have a little rat pet run around with you. And you got to destroy the training dummy that's in the back there. You got to figure out that yourself and learn to stun golems. Yeah, so there's a lot of each zone, or most of the low level to the mid level zone, like Alittle is a mid level zone, will have something like this. So you're not always lost at trying to figure out what to do, because the quests and favors, they're not far and in between. They're out there, but some of them can be pretty difficult to complete. So you got a notepad over here that this game, like I said, has a lot of puzzles. So say you found a code to an obelisk or something, and you need a quick notepad, and you don't have multiple monitors like some folks do. You can just quickly type it down over here, and it'll save. So next we'll get into the map. Now the map, you'll see over here, you can modify the size of the map if you want. Zoom in on it with the mouse scroll buttons, or you can use the zooming slider right down over here. Now this map is completely available for newbies. You can see the whole thing, but when you get into newer zones, it will have a fog of war over it. Basically, everything will be blanked out in a grayscale, and you'll have to explore it yourself to open up the map. And you'll get EXP for cartography. See, I'll go back to skills here and explain cartography. There's info, and there's 0 of 100, and really cartography doesn't have anything in it at the moment. But I think I can't remember which skills increase the map pins. So let me go back over here and explain the map pins real quickly. So you can right click the map and set these pins. Say you found a dungeon entrance and you want to keep that entrance there all the time, or I'll go to more advanced things here. Occur there's an ice zone or snow zone that there's campfires that you need to follow around because you freeze to death in that zone. So you might want to put a map marker there for that. So, and to get rid of map markers, you right click them again and you erase the name and click save. So right click save, and you can put a map marker down with just a click as well, and it will ask for a name. Like right clicking will automatically just put a map marker there, and it will call it new map marker, or whatever it was previously named with this with the single left click version of it. See, I'll put ASDFD, and if I right click it, it'll be the same thing. So yeah, this is extremely handy for trade skilling. Like a good example is called surveying. Surveying will get you things like minerals That's how you get your ores for blacksmithing. That's how you get your uh, gems for pretty much anything that you need the gems for. You know, and gems can be used for many, many, many things. So there's that. And let's get into the next one is books and lores. I don't have any books here because I haven't found any, but books and lores in the game, you'll run across books in dungeons that you can click and you'll get lore EXP, and they'll be sitting in here. They're usually short stories. Some of them can be made by players if I remember correctly, but a lot of it is just lore of the game that you can find here and there, tidbits. And like I said, with skills, everything can tie with each other. So let me go back here and go to pathology. Pathology is basically for anatomy. Wait, no, am I right? No, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, it is for figuring out how things died. So if I walk over here and kill this skeleton as soon as I can stop hitting things. So I'll kill this skeleton real quickly here. And I'll search its corpse. There's an autopsy button over here. And autopsy is really important. You want to autopsy everything. So it'll tell you slashed to pieces in the killer tutorial, and you know, a detailed analysis of how much damage it did. So you know, I take that and that. So what autopsy will do is it'll go into anatomy here. It links up with anatomy. So you see that there's arthropod, canine, rodent, and undead. That's the things I've already killed. So you know, I click on undead, and here shows more combat info, or at level 8 archery, chance of getting +1% critical hit. Yeah, so skills. So doing autopsy is a great thing because all these things here will give you skills, and this is just a short list of a really, really big one. My main character has a lot of things that I've killed and did anatomy on. So, and there's a lot of skills that'll give you plussings to, you know, like the canine will give you butchering bonuses for bone, you know, or skinning more exotic items out of the poor corpse. Or like here's one +1 anatomy, and then again another archery one for +1. I think archery is overpowered, but you know, it's really good. So next, we'll look at crafting, because crafting will be an interest for many of you. So I've only got two crafting skills currently. So this is alchemy. It is from a book that I picked up in the zone. You'll have to find it yourself. I'm not going to tell you where it is. But it has pick-me-up juice and rotten strawberries. So if you want to get alchemy up, and I'll let you a little bit of a spoiler out here. If you get level 50 alchemy, you can turn yourself into a battle chemist, and you can throw bottles of poison everywhere and buff yourself very powerfully. And you know, it's just a lot of things. Alchemy has a lot of good things in there if you can find the ingredients for it. And mycology is mushrooms. So there's mushrooms everywhere in the game. You just pick them up, and one of the other hidden skills in mycology is myconic. It's a language. You can speak mushroom, so you'll need that probably eventually in the game. So keep picking those mushrooms, and you know, mushrooms can do a lot of things for food, alchemy, you name it. Teleporting. Yes, there's another little spoiler right there. Teleporting. So, and we go on to persona. Persona is basically your character window. You see what all the armor that you're wearing, waste slots, and there's racial jury slots. If you got them, hand slots, free slots, and then you've got your stats on the bottom. Um, Health, armor, and see the percentages in your armor, power, where you get power from, movement speed, your general cleanliness. Yes, there are NPCs that will not talk to you if you are dirty. If you stink, they're going to tell you you stink. And sometimes they'll swear at you for it. Literally. So, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And each race has their own little thing. Like humans here have this friendship and camaraderie. As long as you're around more humans, you'll feel happy. You'll get more EXP. The elves have a thing for dirtiness. So if they're dirty, they lose EXP and whatnot. And the Rakasha, the cat people, have a thing with sentient beings. If they have killed too many sentient beings, they feel dead inside. So those are some of the things that might be seen on top of the wiki. So I'm going mostly covering stuff on the wiki, at least at this point. So, you got general stacking, debugging, if you're male, beast, druid, stuns, and lycanthropy. Yeah, you can become, there's many things that you can become in the game. You can become a lycanthrope, a werewolf, and that's a permanent change. You gotta make sure that you do want to do that. The game gives you many, many warnings, and I'll come across some of those warnings and show you what I mean. Druid, same thing, another permanent thing. And pseudocurrencies, you got consoles, that's how much money you got. You got guild credits, and Driva blessings. Driva blessings are for druids. That's a whole druid thing right there. And the guild credits are basically if your guild is participating in guild quests. So you probably want to find a guild that does some quests, or incline them to do quests. And that goes back to health. So, and the last bit over here is your social window, where you'll see who's online. This is not an exhaustive list, so what you won't see everybody in the game. It only shows like a total of 100 players, if I remember correctly. And you can enter yourself a little bit of a status over here. Like here's one guy right over here. He put up his Twitch channel. And here's another guy with werewolf friendly. If you have questions, I don't bite most of the time, so you got cute little things like that. You got your party window. This is for your party and invites. You can kick people. You can change the name of your group here, or you can leave the group or invite people right over here. You can change the loot turns. Basically, turns means that loot goes round robin, so each person will have a chance at getting loot, or you can set it to any party member or to any player. And then you got your friends window for all your friends. You can unfriend, you can message, you can invite to party. Sometimes that blacks out for some reason. And then you can add friends. Now, one of the things, if you're trying to add a friend to your group, they must be in the same zone as you, or they will not be added at all. So that's going to... Guild window works the same way as friends, except that you'll just see the list of players that are there, who's online, or if they're online, and what status they're at, either officer, administrator, creator, owner, member. And then the restrict. The restrict's an interesting one for turning off parties and friend invites, because I don't know about you, but I get a little weird when someone just walks up to me and throws me a party invite. So I tend to turn this off. I'd rather someone send me a message, say, "Hey, you want to join a hunting party with me?" And I'll go, "Sure, yeah, why not?" But I don't like just sudden invites to parties. It makes me feel weird. It's like, okay, what are we doing? And they go, hello. Yeah. And title. Well, you'll get titles in the middle of the game. They don't really do anything other than um, just for prestige, you could say. So, and one more important thing to go over: food. Food is everything in this game. It is your power regen, your health regen, and your metabolism regen. There's two types of food you can get. There's main food and snack food, and those two can be used together and combined to become, stronger food, and you get faster regen for out of combat, and also faster regen for in combat. So you want to eat something at all times. Make sure you have something to eat at all times, and looks like I have no food on me, but on the island there is a little food pot right here that you can just consume some porridge and be on your merry way for a little while until you find a rat somewhere and steal his cheese. Yeah, rats have cheese. You steal their little cheese. Another little interesting thing is beds. Beds, you can click on it and power nap. So this is going to take a little while, about 14 seconds, making this video a lot longer because of that. But the effects will be usually armor regen in combat. So get back up, armor regen in combat right here. See, comfort regenerates 3 armor per update when out of combat. Okay, it's out of combat. So now let's go on to the next lessons. So now we come to combat. In this game, combat is pretty straightforward. You press the 1, 2, 3 keys, or a combination set of control to do your secondaries, and shift base to do any of your sidebar keys. Usually you can just get away with clicking. Clicking is easy, unless you've got something like I do, like a G13 keypad, and you can modify your keys to be however you want. So that can be useful, and unfortunately my air conditioner just turned on. Now it's going to make a whole bunch of noise. Bearings are going on it. But anyway, so death in this game is a skill. I'll show you. So dying in this game isn't that bad. I'm probably not going to die exactly here. Just going to kill this guy, take his legs, and level up my arthropod here. But let me show you. I've died a couple of times already. Dying is a skill. So it goes up to 1 through 50, and there's rewards for dying. So at level 10 death gives me +5 to my maximum hit points. At level 20 it gives +5 to maximum hit points, and it gives +1 to necromancy level. So that's a fun one. And there's one for holistic wellness and more max level, and then at 50 it gives you an inventory folder. Now inventory folders are something I'll explain on a different character in a next tutorial. So that regard, death doesn't have many penalties unless you're up against a boss. Now, bosses have curses, so when you see a warning in game, make sure you heed it, or you're gonna have a very unlucky time. And I will give you an example of what you'll see when you run into a warning. So give me just a second. So here we are. We are in front of an actual warning. So you have special intuition about supernatural dangers. You can tell which creatures inflict terrible curses. These curses are often much worse than mere death. It's really dumb to ignore this danger, which unfortunately a lot of players do ignore this for some reason. I mean, it's maybe it's just a thing of trial of a rite of passage or something like that. They must attack something. So this is what you're going to see when you actually see a boss warning that has a very bad curse. So all of this, big heads for all. Likely fate, 38% worse than death. So yeah, you probably want to take some friends in order to do a boss. And here we have an example of failing to heed a curse. You have a big head, a big giant head. That's a curse. See? It is called magnacephalus. Your head and brain have grown. You can't wear headgear, but you gain plus 25 power. Sometimes the curse has a little bit of a perk. So, heed those warnings, people. Always follow any sign out there and proceed with caution.